Welcome to the Chris Oak and Skylar interview.
Take two.
Take two.
Because we didn't like how the other one started.
The first one was lame.
I think it was great.
I mean,
But you'll never see it, so.
kind of sucked, but it's okay.
It's just like your opinion, bro.
Okay, so welcome to the interview. We're gonna ask each other a series of questions because unfortunately we can't find people to do interviews with us yet. So
We can't find famous people to do interviews with, so we have to take the latter of the two, and so we are
the famous people doing the interviews.
the upcoming famous people.
of each other.
You know, we're gonna be famous one day, but this is the before thing, so like this is actually, a crucial part to the artistry step.
He has a really big dick. That's why we're doing this. Okay, cool.
Big dick energy. Okay.
So let's start with you first, my brother. So go ahead, open your phone. We got your questions on there. I'd love to go and talk to you about your life and see just like what you've been through. I remember one of the first ones we wanted to do. We're gonna let's start from the beginning, right? So
Okay.
so before we go through these questions, let's just ask you. So who are you? What's your name?
My name's Skylar, and my band, our primary art project is Coyote.
And what makes you like wanna do music, I guess?
It's the only form of cathartic release that I find in my life that genuinely helps me process some of the experiences that I've been through in this life.
That's a great segue, because as one of your really close friends, I know how fucked up a lot of the shit you've been through in life is. So
Well, we all go through fucked up stuff in life, right? So no, my story is not any worse or more fucked up than anybody else's. It's just been my personal experience, and it's the way it's affected me. So
Right.
It's not to like minimize or make I'm suffering fucking way worse off than anybody else. Like, no, there's been a lot of good things happen in my life, and a lot of bad things happen in my life. This is just where I'm at now because of all of them.
Beautifully said. So if you look back at your childhood growing up in SoCal, I remember, I learned when I first met you, bro, I learned that your family, of course, is very successful. Your family is known for their clothing company that they've been, building for a very long time, specifically through your father.
Yeah.
And so what was it like growing up, in SoCal with the skate culture and creativity of like your DIY upbringing? What do you think eventually led you to becoming the artist that you are now from all that upbringing?
Being an artist. So for the interview purpose too, I'm just gonna say this right now. I'm disclaimer to anybody watching. I'm not gonna say like names, and if I do say names, it's not gonna be actual people. And if I accidentally do say a name, please blur it out.
Sure.
Because I'm not gonna actually drop the names or companies or this. But yes, these are things that have happened to me, truthfully, in my life. But so the question is, why did I choose? What was the gist of it? Why did I choose?
It was like what basically sparked you to become the artist that you are today, based on like growing up with the skate culture, growing up in SoCal, and like the DIY creativity that you were used to growing up with.
Artistry is one of the only places in my life that I felt like a sense of freedom. Whereas in a lot of other areas of my life, I felt very contained and caged and controlled. So from early on, I was always doing things like clothing brands and, producing. And when I would turn 23, I think I was going through a really gnarly breakup, which I actually turned to the guitar, and that was like the time that I formed my first band. And after like through that process of forming the first band, which didn't work out because first bands never do, that's where I really like found my passion and love for music specifically. But I would argue that I was always an artistically driven person.
I see. Were you playing instruments before then? Like, were you playing instruments? When did you first start playing instruments?
So I actually started playing instruments at a young age, probably like, I'd say like 13. And I remember when I first got to high school, freshman year, I applied for like the school's music program, and the music program actually denied me because they said I wasn't good enough at guitar.
Wow.
So
Okay.
I had been practicing for like 3 or 4 years at that point, and then like to get that kind of like rejection from the music program really like crushed my confidence with playing music. And so I didn't pick up the guitar for another I don't know, 6 or 7 years until I was like 23.
Wow.
And I only picked it up because I was going through a breakup and I was looking at the guitar in my room being like, I haven't touched you in a long time. And what if I just played you every day for like a month and like see where that takes me? And then within a couple months of doing that, I was in a band. And
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, it was a really monumental change to my life, or beginning of my music artistry career.
Wow. So growing inside a family system with like your heavy expectations and like really blurred boundaries, when did you first realize that like you needed your own identity to separate from what's going on with like your family and your upbringing and your environment?
So hold on, I'm gonna change this real quick because I'm gonna get something else back on the background.
Sure.
What's a good thing to play? Here, let's just do
I don't care, bro. It's taken away from the interview.
I know. Let's just do
It
like
doesn't matter.
background, placeholder, image. Don't worry, we're gonna edit it out too.
Don't move too much, or if you
Sorry.
just don't move too much. Yeah, don't move too much.
Okay.
I also need to put this closer to you.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, so
There's a question.
okay. So growing up in the family that you grew up with, you know, and dealing with like the blurred boundaries of your family success and you growing up with high expectations and all these things, when did you first realize that like you needed your own space and you needed your own identity to be away from all that?
So that's something I felt from a very like young age, but it took me until about like 27, 28 to really understand that I needed to have a completely separate identity from the family structure that I grew up in.
And why is that? What was
Because
it that told you that?
what internally told me that was through lived experiences through that structure. I learned time and time again, this is not safe. And this is not a space where your individual success is encouraged. Instead, it's more of a space where your individual success is mocked and or thrashed behind your back.
Can you give like a small example? Like briefly?
So something that my friend you informed me actually like years down the road was I started my own clothing brand around age 20 with a former friend of mine. I would not consider him a friend now at all. But you know, so him and I started this clothing company together through my family's resources and business, and we actually saw like a decent amount of success because we were taking secondary product and essentially upcycling it and throwing our brand logos on it. And I learned from you that that company was bought out from under me by my own dad, who paid my friend, I don't know the exact amount, maybe 10 or 20 grand for the company. And my friend didn't tell me, and my family didn't tell me, and my dad sure as shit didn't tell me. And so like to like discover things like that like years down the road and be like, oh, so like my instincts of like needing to build my own thing were correct, you know. But you have your body knows way before your mind does what you need to do.
Right.
So I didn't learn how to like really channel that and understand that until like years later.
Wow. What was the first time you felt misunderstood as a kid or a teen when you were growing up?
Constantly from elementary school onward, bro. That's just the existence of being an artist, right? You're just constantly misunderstood and put in a different category of a person.
Yeah, I could feel that already.
You're a deep emotional feeler as an artist.
Yeah.
As I know you are too.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, you just kind of get ostracized from the people who aren't that.
I remember getting bullied a lot when I was a kid. So
For sure.
did you ever get bullied at all?
So to be completely honest,
like
completely honest with the bullying stuff, because of some of the friends and people that I hung around with in high school, I have memories of both being bullied and also being part of the crowd that was bullying people. So that's not something I'm necessarily proud of, but it is reality. I think that many people in this life have instances of them being bullied and also being a bully.
So you carried a lot of responsibility when you were young, and you carried a lot of emotional weight too. How did that shape the way that you create, lead, and build things right now in your life?
It's made me hyper aware. So, sorry, what was the exact question? You carry responsibility away from your age, how that shaped the way you create the. So, I see. So when you grow up in like a rather like unstable environment where things are constantly done without being told to you, or like what's, or your consent or this or that, you become hyper vigilant and hyper aware of like all possibilities of all things happening at all times.
Right.
So it's created a version of me that's super cool, like super understanding of how anything can go, and can see a million different possibilities of how anything can go. And I've seen the realities of how a lot of people operate. So there's a deeper understanding of like human psychology, of how people go about their day to day and what motivates a lot of people. So it creates like a pretty strong leader, but because you see so many things in front of you, you know, of possibilities and options and this and that, you almost get stuck in this option paralysis, which is why you just have to make a decision to go forward. And that's generally what I do. When I finally make a decision to go forward, I commit to that decision fully. And it's like, you can't look back.
Yeah. It's really important that like when it comes to success in business and stuff, like,
oh yeah, man.
you know, you have to make decisions quickly, and the longer it takes for you to make a decision, the more likely you're not going to succeed in whatever it is you're doing. And that's where that, you know, analysis paralysis happens. Right?
Totally.
It's too much shit you're dealing with, and like trying to figure out what to do and what's the right decision for you. So
where did you learn that concept?
I mean, I learned that from studying like different successful people that I looked up to. You know, I always told myself like the only way to really be free in this world is to be able to have control of your time. You know, most people's time is in the control of somebody else, typically an employer that tells them like, you need to be here at this time, you need to clock out at this time.
Oh, totally.
And if you don't do this, you're fired. And,
Yeah.
and basically we've taken this concept of slavery and turned it into financial slavery, and everyone thinks it's totally fine.
Yeah.
It's like you're stuck to have to do this job.
Yeah.
And if you don't, you risk losing it. And if you don't have some way to have income coming in, then you don't have a way to pay for your place to live or eat or survive. So it's like people are then put into these roles to where like if you don't have your own thing that you're doing yourself,
Yeah.
you have to go build someone else's business. And if you're going to do that, you're basically committing your time
Yeah.
for an exchange of money.
Yep.
You know, and that to me is in a way modern day slavery, because most people right now in the world are going paycheck to paycheck. They're literally surviving just enough to be able to make it to the end of the month, to be able to make their next paycheck and survive a little bit more. Not a lot of people are having that financial freedom. And the only way to do that is to have something of your own. So when it came to understanding analysis paralysis and like being a good leader and being successful, I realized these are skills that you have to develop as a person, regardless of what you're doing, in order to do well in whatever it is in your life you want to accomplish. So if it's music, like being able to make decisions quickly and get things done quickly and execute quickly is so important. Doing business, like my hot sauce company, it's the same thing. Like if I take too long to make a decision on things start to rot, things start to go bad. Like you need to be able to move quickly and pivot. And so it's interesting, you know, I've learned these things through life. And so I see you as my friend, you know, going through the shit you go through, and I see you trying to juggle all these things, your money, your life, your happiness, your health, your sanity.
But to be fair,
You know,
everybody's juggling all these things all the time.
Yeah, for sure.
That's why I'm not saying like, oh, my problems are worse than anybody's else.
No.
But what you described too, which is funny, because I know that like you're a lot more, you know, scientific minded, whereas I'm more of a spiritual person. What you described is what like spiritual community would call like the matrix, quote unquote. So once you figure out how to like break free of the matrix.
The funny thing is they talk a lot about like breaking free from it, and then they give like really shitty practical advice. It's like I know it's there. I'm consciously aware it exists. We're in it. Like I see it, but like break free from the matrix. It's easier said than done. Like, you know, like, how about instead we say we need to, how about we do shit that actually leads to that result? But people, you know,
Well,
it's harder to do that than people say it is.
That's like so many people, man. Like, I feel like a lot of people, you know, they just talk. They just talk. They just talk and talk and talk and talk. It takes a very special individual to like actually take action or like follow up on one of the ideas that they talk about.
Right.
So like this idea right here that you and I are doing with this interview and this camera and everything, it's rad because we talked about this like a day or two ago.
And boom.
And we're like, all right, let's do this. Fucking make an interview and come up with some questions and do this thing and put it out there. And like, it doesn't matter if this is fucking, you know, successful or not. It's just taking something that you talked about and actually doing it until you find something that hits. And when you find something that hits, you run with it and you keep going. Yeah. And that's generally, in my mind, what makes a successful person successful is they find the thing that works and they just keep doing it.
And they just keep doing it.
They double down on it.
Yeah, I heard that, you know, Seth Rogen was saying this on an interview recently. He said, like, you know, the difference between people that succeed and people that don't is that, like, most of these people that I've seen that have succeeded in life, they kept freaking trying.
Yeah.
And they just did not give up. They didn't quit. It's like, if you give up, there's 100% chance that you won't make it. But if you don't give up, there is a possibility that you just might make it. And just might make it is better than zero.
Yeah.
You know, I'd rather take 1% over 0% any day of possibility that, like, the things we're working on will succeed, you know? And so,
what deters a lot of people is I think that people do take chances in their early life and they don't work out because that's just life, right? Like, so many people take these chances and then they fail, and the emotional repercussions of the failure of being a failure or having the rejection on the chance that you took just crushes you and keeps you so down and so low. And like, that's something, like, to be honest, like, I am guilty of, dude. That happens to me. Sure. Things don't work out and I'm just crushed. And then I'm like, okay, finally, like, try to rebuild myself, take another chance. And then that falls apart. I'm like, crushed. And I'm like, ugh. But it's like, that's life, right? It's not about how hard you hit. It's about how many fucking hits you can take.
Right. I agree. So when you were growing up and you were doing Psych and you were doing Coyote, you know, what were those first versions of your brand that you were building that you now see as you are now, that you were trying to build yourself into? What were some aspects of those brands that, like, led you, that you could see from that past that led you to, like, this moment now? So
for starters, to just for editing purposes, we're not gonna say like Psych. We're not gonna like drop names.
Sure.
So like we'll just say Coyote, what we're doing now. Sure. That's what's important. All it is right now. We're not talking about like past entities or past names or any of that shit. So either blur that out or bleep that. So let's just like if you were to rephrase the question. So like rephrase question, go.
So when you were building your old brands and your music in the beginning, what were some things you saw back then that are like leading to how things are now as an artist? Things that I saw back then that lead me to right now? Yeah, I can word that really right. Yeah, I don't understand that question. Yeah, let's just skip this one. Wait, go back to the question. What's the question say? No, skip it. It's kind of a stupid question anyways. The versions of your brand reveal about who you were trying to become at the time. Is that what it is? Yeah, but it's kind that's the question. Okay. I like this better too. That's the question. So that's the meat of it, bro. It's like, there you go. Who, when you were making your art back then, who were you trying to become? What are you doing? Stop doing that. I need to see it. I can't read it. By the way, I'm the one doing this interview here. Well, no, bro. This is like a podcast. It's turning into like a podcast thing, which is cool because we're still making cool shit. That's what you're talking about right now, and that what you just said, I'm like asking questions to the questions you're asking me, which is how you build a podcast. Good point. I don't want to sit here and just be like interviewed and talk about just me, bro. Like I like your viewpoints on shit, and I want to hear what you have to say about stuff. So then my question for you is this. Okay. So what did some of your early creative endeavors reveal about who you were trying to become at the time? The person that I was trying to become based off of those early endeavors was a person that is free to choose to do what they want when they want to do it, that doesn't listen to what everybody else is trying to tell you to do all the time. So it was a very young, inexperienced, and albeit naive version of me that valued freedom above all else, and I still do that to this day. But through my experiences of life right now and what I've gone through, I've learned how to differentiate between those that wish you well and those that don't, because there are quite a few that don't wish you well and that pretend that they do.
especially growing up in a wealthy family. That's something people don't understand, is when you grow up in the wealthy family, people see that your family's wealthy and they are constantly trying to get a piece of that.
Yeah.
And so they see you as a thing to get closer to that. So you're way less viewed as a person and more viewed as a means to get to the boss, who was coincidentally my dad. So there was so many relationships that I had to like learn from an early age. Is this disingenuous or is this genuine? Do you really like me for who I am, or do you like what my family has?
Right.
And so like there was a lot of like failed relationships that happened around that. Friendships, girls that I dated, and like even my dad's business partners would pretend to like me, you know, because of what I simply had around me as opposed to who I was. And that makes a really deep wound on someone. Like that makes you very cautious and very scared to go out and keep trying with people, especially if you're under the umbrella of the thing that's already made, which is again why I've constantly tried to make my own thing to free myself from that.
So like you were explaining how like you've lost like pieces of yourself from that instability and that betrayal at times. How did those losses refine your artistic voice instead of breaking your artistic voice?
So this is something I think that you can attest to as an artist as well. So like most of the meaningful songs that people hear and truly touching songs were born from a place of like hurt or deep emotion. Like go listen to like any famous song. There's a lot of hurt behind a lot of those artists' voices, and that is their medium for expressing that shit. So what was it? How do these lessons refine your artistic voice instead of breaking it? Well, that's the thing right there. I found my voice by continuously pursuing these artistic projects as opposed to letting it break me and choosing to fit within the mold of that society puts in front of you to be just this 9-to-5 average clock in, clock out worker, you know? And I just always said no. Like, I'm not gonna do that. Like, I absolutely refuse to do that. And I've literally said this to my parents and other people around me, I would rather die. I would rather take my chances, go out and be broke, trying to pursue music and artistry, than sit and be your little bitch in an office instead of being outside or touching people with musical artistry and deep, meaningful songs or pieces or whatever I can manage to create in my lifetime. It's so much more fulfilling to live that life as opposed to just do nothing and work and build somebody else's dream.
Right. No, I understand. So what were parts of your story that you had to unlearn and like let go of in order to step into the version that you're creating right now for yourself?
The victim mentality is a huge one. You know, that's where a lot of people get stuck on these things, because we all make it to certain points in our life and we're like, oh, woe is me, and what am I gonna do, and this and that. And like, don't get me wrong, I still sometimes catch myself falling into those mindsets. I'm like, no, it does not matter what happened to you in your early life. These are the experiences that shaped you. What matters is who you choose to be at this moment. And I still wake up every day, albeit tired a lot of days, because I am broke and constantly trying. I'm working 3 jobs to fund my artistry. And, you know, I just got fired from my own family's company, essentially. You know, I came into work the other day and they're trying to move all my stuff from out of my desk without telling me. And the only reason I knew was because a coworker called me while I was at another job to warn me, hey, they're trying to move your stuff without you being here. And I was like, oh my God. So I had to stop what I was doing, go there, grab all my stuff. And the managers just hid in the office, didn't acknowledge me. And then they reprimanded the coworker that called me. So like, it's like a clear sign to me. I'm like, oh yeah, they don't want you around. And not only they don't want you around, they want to fuck with you because you're here. And I'm like, this is the kind of stuff you deal with when you build somebody else's dream as opposed to building your own dream.
That's right.
It's crazy.
And that's exactly why.
It's crazy, the mistreatment.
That's why, like, having the ability to have your own business is so much more freeing than being tied to someone else's, because you're still essentially a financial slave in a way. You still have to go and play by like their rules that they've established that they want.
Yeah.
So
What have you
Yeah.
seen? What have you seen in your companies? And do you want? I mean, if you want to take moments to talk about your companies too and what you do,
Sure.
please feel free, because I think,
Yeah.
dude, I think you're such a rad individual, Chris, and you're somebody that inspires me to even do ideas like this.
Thanks, dude.
Because I've gone through so much of my life trying to meet people like you and actually who do want to do things, but the people that I did that actually kind of wanted to do things were also very willing to like fuck me over at a moment's notice because they saw what my family had available to them. So I got burned time and time again just trying to do cool little fun projects with people, because people thought like, oh, it's just Skylar. Like, he can afford to take the hit. He can afford to take the loss. Like, oh, his family will cover him. Oh, he'll always be safe. I'm like, no, dude, if you actually like took the time to get to know me and like see, that's not the case. So
then how did being tied to all this like family style business structure like affect your sense of autonomy, and how does it reflect in like your music and your like visuals and like the way you present yourself and the way you use symbolism and stuff in your art? Like how did that affect that?
So because I grew up in an apparel industry, I do have a unique apparel style. I like the things that I like. I know what looks cool. I know what looks good. I think, again, these are my opinions, but whatever. But the business structure affect your sense of autonomy. So the autonomy thing is something I'm like at age 31 still struggling with, because I'm not autonomous quite yet. Like, I still have so much of my life tied into the business hierarchy family dynamic that's so intertwined that I'm constantly trying to pull piece by piece out. It's like pulling teeth. I'm like, oh, this part of the thing that you own is still tied to this, and like, oh, your insurance for this car is paid for by the company that was your family, so now when you want to take control of it, you have to go through like a different office manager who doesn't care about helping you, because why would they? So it's like, oh, but when you grow up, you're told like, oh no, just have the company pay for it and have your family pay for it, like you'll be taken care of. And then I'm getting older and realizing like, no, that wasn't the case. This was more so just so I had to be completely dependent on the family system. So not to get too off topic, we're talking about what we're
Talking about how talking about how your family situation affects you, the way you make your music and the way that you show the visuals and artistry of like how you present yourself.
Coyote is a symbol of freedom. So if you choose your artistry over building somebody else's dream, or choosing yourself and like what you can make and bring value to this world over doing it for somebody else, that's what my music at its core represents.
Cool. Okay. That's well done.
Thanks. Thanks, bud.
Well done. So you express yourself through physicality, through movement, through art, through symbolism,
Yep.
through building and fixing. How does this physical energy translate to your sound or creative process?
The physical energy.
Yeah, you take being like you've been training like martial arts for a long time.
I'm a national champion in Eskrima, which is a very obscure form of martial arts, but it's like fight, and it's like grit of just like making shit happen. It's like this anger and drive to like figure out how to make it go despite all odds. And that's the sound that you'll hear when my voice, I don't claim to be the best singer in my music. Like, I know that I don't sing off key. It took me many years to actually build up my own confidence to start singing in my own music. But what I do come to the table with my music is like this raw, authentic, grit-filled voice that is just trying to get its message out.
That's awesome. Well done. Your phone shut down on me, by the way.
That's all right.
That's cool. I'm very curious now, actually, like how.
Is this a question or is this a Chris question?
It's both. I mean, here's the thing, man. We have the fucking questions for like the general interview.
Yeah, this is
but,
great.
Like,
this is great basis,
but
right?
It's just to like bounce off things.
Yeah.
Like, I'm actually kind of curious. Like, what makes you want to make your music so raw and just like so intense?
So,
and, like, what's your driving force that makes you want to do that?
So you and I have talked about this, actually. The reason why I choose to make my music raw and intense and real is because in the world right now, what I see going on with so much around me, it's so much artistry. There's a whole other realm when you step into the artist like world. There's all these people who are artists, quote unquote, and they're making art, but they're making it from an overly polished perfection standpoint, whereas like my music, it's like, dude, this is like the real me, bro. There's no fucking auto-tune, there's no fucking bullshit tricks that's making me try to sound any better than I really am, because I'm not better than that. This is where I'm at currently. So my mission is like, I look at old school music, you know, like I'm a huge like Alice in Chains fan, like Alice in Chains and Tool. That's like what I grew up with. And those dudes to me felt raw and real. A lot of old music did. But what you see currently going on with the music realm and industry is people are just so concerned with it being perfect and coming off, because they don't want to be perceived as anything less than perfect. Right. I'm like, well, guess what, bro? I'm not perfect. I'm so fucked up you can't even imagine. You want to talk to me and get like in my head for a couple minutes? We'll talk about some weird, crazy shit, bro. And like the experiences I've been through have like scarred me and left me really neurotic in certain ways. But I'm still trying to do the things that I want to do.
I think that's interesting too, because like I make pop music, so like I want my music to be as perfect as it can be.
It's a genre style choice too. I also for that record, I choose to make like rock and roll grunge metal, which if you ask me, there's not really that much out there these days, because all these rock artists are so fucking soft little bitch pussies that are too afraid to be disliked by anyone. Whereas you rewind the clocks, like back in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, you go look at those famous groups, those dudes were throwing TVs out windows. They were fucking thrashing hotel rooms. They were saying, fuck these people on stage. Nobody does that anymore. People are so afraid to be disliked or like perceived incorrectly, because they are afraid to be like ostracized by the status quo or like canceled, right? That's the big thing that goes on right now. People get canceled for saying the wrong thing or looking a certain way or being misperceived a certain way. It's like, that's at its core, that's what rock was before this pussification that it's currently going towards, if you ask me. Pussification. I'm gonna look up that word. Let's write that down. Pussification.
So what was the moment that you realized you weren't just making art, you were building a world that reflected your real identity, not just one you were boxed into?
Again, it always felt like this, but it really took around, for me, it took around age 27, 28 to really understand that. And what, in my personal journey, what really made me understand that was sitting with certain plant medicines, things like ayahuasca and wachuma really grounded me, and those things helped me understand, dude, you are here to make music and you need to place this above all else, and then everything else in your life will start falling into place. Doesn't mean it's gonna come without challenge and hardship, but if you put these things first, you will figure out how to continuously meet people like yourself, other musicians and artists and people who will see you, hear you, and take care of you, and the money won't be a factor as much.
Ain't that the truth?
It is the truth, man. It really is. And so I'm currently working, thanks to you again, like with this stagehand gig with these rad other artist individuals who we should also do this interview with.
We should totally do this.
Which would be rad. This would be so cool to do shit like this with those people, because I know so many of them have similar stories to me and you and I.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I'm working these stagehand gigs through choosing music. I'm like, well, this is a music decision. This is a music guy. So the music guy, you brought me to a music job where I'm meeting other musicians and artists who are trying to make things. And again, their stories are so similar. If people just had the moment to like sit down and talk in like a setting like this, I think that'd be wonderful.
You're getting rid of that pussification.
Yeah, pussification. Just say what you want. Like, it's supposed to be just a conversation like we have without the camera of like what you really are and what you feel. People are so concerned with their image and how they're perceived by so many people. I'm like, dude, the more you're concerned about that, the more it's like pushing people away, because people can feel that. Yeah. They can feel it, bro. Like, just be you. That's the whole, like when you go into the whole fucking self-help realm of books and all this stuff, all that shit's just like, just be you. And like, it sounds super corny and cheesy, but it's the actual authentic truth. Just be you. Everybody else is taken. So when I sat with Wachuma, which was a great medicine, it literally told me, it was like, emit your frequency to the world, and emitting your frequency to the world will do two things. It will attract the correct people and it will repel the wrong ones. And your frequency is literal through your music. So it's even easier for you as a musician. Just make your sound and be authentic and be real, and let the people who don't like it not like it, because it's not for them.
It's really cool. Really cool.
Thanks.
I agree.
Thanks.
So You have the symbol on your arm. You've been using that symbol for a very long time. What does that symbol mean again?
So this symbol right here, it literally means sky in ancient Sumerian. So I'm an adopted kid. Oh, so that's another thing. I'm an adopted kid within my own family structure. So I had to go back and find a lot of my own historical bloodline roots, and something that I learned through what I'm a quarter Lebanese, which is part of, the early Mesopotamia area. And so I was like, oh, cool. So I was looking more into that, and I saw this symbol that meant sky, and I was like, well, my name's Skylar. This is basically an ancient Mesopotamian symbol for sky. I'm just like, well, I'm just gonna get this tattooed on me, and I'm gonna start putting it on all my little things that I make. So it's like my signature that's better than like just writing something, because it's a symbol. Because a symbol can mean so many different things to so many different people. But this is just basically my sigil that I self-made for myself.
So the sigil of yours that you've used, how has it evolved from Coyote just being a symbol to it being now your persona that you live as?
So Coyote's just the band, right? Like, this is just like the band that I started, but this is like the core of me. This is probably what I recommend. And like, actually, when you look at the symbol, what I really like, as I sit here and I look at it sometimes, is it has all these different directions that it can point to, which are all the infinite possibilities of every decision you can make. So you're sitting in the center, and you make a decision, you go this way, or you make another decision, you go that way. You make a decision, you just continuously, that's all life is making decisions and going to right. But again, so many people get caught up with the analysis, option paralysis, that they sit and they don't make decisions, and then they stay.
So I've noticed that you've been like working your butt off, just like myself. And I noticed
it takes a hustler to see a hustler, bro.
And I've noticed now you're going through like this weird period of like being overwhelmed a lot because you have a lot of things you're juggling, and it's leading to burnout. So how do you deal with managing your creative direction and your creativity as a whole? Like making your music, creating new ideas, all that jazz. How do you manage that while simultaneously dealing with the exhaustion, the burnout, the emotional numbness you have to hold in your soul? Like, how do you do that? How do you manage those things to help you still continue with your creativity?
I surround myself with the right people these days, people like yourself that will call me and still ask me to make music and do things even when I really don't feel like it, because to be honest, I don't feel like doing it a lot of days. So, but once I get started, then it's not so bad. But it's the hard part is getting started. But the balancing it, I don't have a good answer currently. I'm still learning that.
It's okay, man. It's a process of how we gotta figure this out. So It says that you're stepping into your 30s now. What do you view of your legacy, your purpose right now at this current moment in time?
You don't get to choose your legacy and purpose while you're here. That's something that's generally, I guess you get to choose your purpose. You get to choose your purpose day by day, but your legacy is something that, you leave behind, right? Like, you don't get to know what legacy you left. You just do with a general feeling of purpose. And the more of that you kind of have in your life, generally, I feel like the better legacy you'll leave.
Do you think legacy is a result?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. I think legacy is a result of living a purpose-filled life. That's a good way.
Do you feel like you have the ability to choose what that is that you want?
To choose, every day you get to choose your purpose, which is both awesome and terrifying.
Do you also feel like you get to choose your legacy as a result of that?
No, you do not get to choose your legacy.
Okay.
Your legacy goes on, like, that just is what happens, but you get to choose your purpose.
That's cool. Because I kind of disagree. Cause
okay. This is great.
Because I think
for the record, we're allowed to disagree.
Yeah,
I love this.
Yeah, I think for me, bro, it's like, I think that like your purpose is something that you have the privilege to choose, especially if you grew up in a place like living in the United States where like you grew up in a place in the United States where like you had your family there that could take care of you and give you a home and like food and like clothes on your back and shit like that. After you have all your immediate needs with like the hierarchy of needs pyramid, the last thing you achieve is self-actualization. And that self-actualization is your purpose, is your long-term goal that you pursue. And I think that, yeah, you're right. Like, your legacy is a result of, like, whatever it is you've done in your life. Like, some people may have good intentions, but, like, in the end, like, the legacy is, like, what other people interpret it as.
Totally. Totally.
But, like, I do feel like because you can choose your purpose, in a way, you can increase the probability of what you want that legacy to be.
Sure.
You know, maybe you can't decide exactly, like, this is my legacy, and when I die, I'm going to make sure that happens no matter what. Like, but I do feel like, yeah, you do have some control over that, you know, because if you do have a purpose of whatever it is and you keep pursuing that, the more you pursue whatever that purpose is, the more as a byproduct you're going to have of a legacy that gears towards essentially relating to that purpose. I'll give you a good example. Like, you know, like, so Thomas Edison is a great example, right? Like, one of the things he's most famous for, you know, creating is the light bulb. But in reality, it wasn't him. It was his team of engineers that built it. But you know what else he built, which is really fucked up? He built the electric chair. Yeah. So it's like, yeah, I know. So Thomas Edison built the electric
directly
chair.
or indirectly?
No, directly. Do you know why he did? Do you know why?
No.
He was pioneering direct current, DC current, and he was at war with Westinghouse Electric,
Okay.
who was pioneering alternating current, AC power.
Yeah.
So what they did was, when they got a contract from the federal government trying to find a way to use capital punishment to execute prisoners,
Yeah.
they basically was like, well, what if we were to do something that would be more humane than the guillotine and the the noose. And so what they did was they found out that, you know, what if we could use electricity to do it? And Edison was like, well, what a perfect way to show the danger of my competitor by making the chair be not powered by direct current, but with alternating current. And by using alternating current in the electric chair, he would then, as a result, tell the public that, look at the deadly danger that this power holds. This is why direct current is better. Wow. You know, and specifically on all the electric chairs, they wanted to make sure Westinghouse's name was on it.
Yeah.
To associate Westinghouse with the electric chair, even though Edison was the one that invented it and built it and demonstrated it. And you know what happened?
Yeah.
It was a complete failure.
The chair?
Yeah.
Because it was super painful and awful and
well,
bad.
it was gruesome and disgusting. Like the guy did not die instantaneously.
No, I've heard the stories, bro. That dude was like...
He basically was fried to death, and it was fucked up. And so, like, on one hand, you could look at his legacy being like, he was an incredible man that, like, still to this day, we're using light bulbs that are making a difference in humanity in a positive way.
Yeah.
Giving electricity and light to people that, like, could never imagine something of the sort. Still working on, like, kerosene lamps and shit.
I mean,
but then at the same time, there's the other dark side, which was, you know, he was called to ask to, like, build something that was going to be used to execute people.
Yeah.
And thousands of people in history have died because of that electric chair. Yeah. So it's like, I don't know, man. Like, you know, I guess his purpose was to give humanity the ability to do something in a positive way from his viewpoint. But yeah, you're right. At the end of the day, you can't control your legacy per se, because that was a really dark thing that Edison contributed to, you know, and it's really fucked up.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, you know, but there's other things too, and other stuff that I've read on as I've gotten like older in life. You know, like a controversial one would be like, you know, like the Nazi Party, right? Like,
yeah.
So like those people too, like they made a lot of advancements in studies in like our modern medicine that we carry today in Western culture.
They did.
You know, but they were on arguably the wrong side of history in terms of like the ethics and the things that they did. But do you think that they knew the legacy they were going to leave?
I don't think so.
At the time.
No, not at all.
But what they believed they were doing was right. So that's like the danger of it, is you don't get to really choose your legacy, because you kind of just do, and then people kind of interpret it after.
Interesting. Yeah, that's a good point.
That's how I look at it.
It's a really good point.
But like that's not. But everything is so nuanced. Even so, it's like with the Thomas Edison thing that you're saying, right? It's he's someone that did a lot of good, but then he also did something that was bad. Yeah. So that's generally a lot of people, because when you really get into the nitty gritty of things, nobody is entirely good or entirely bad. We're all things, which is the whole yin yang belief thing in my mind. But
yeah, crazy.
Yeah.
So are there any like patterns that you see of yourself that you have to break from to reclaim your creative freedom? For example, like shrinking yourself, or or caring too much about how people perceive you or how you're reacting, or like people pleasing or stuff like that. Like, are there any things that you've had to like deal with or let go of that?
A pattern, yes, a
Yeah,
pattern.
that you've had to break to reclaim your creative freedom.
A pattern that I've had to break in my life is because I'm such a bright, giving person. I give and I give and I give, but the return isn't always there from individuals. So I've had to learn how to be through like being thrashed by some of these people and being abused and in certain dynamics of relationships, you know, more on the mental side of things, never on the physical. I've learned to really be discerning with like who I give my time and energy to, because if you constantly give and give and give and you're not getting the reciprocal get back, you're just going to end up depleted. So I studied under a shaman for a while, and when I was going through some really tough, dark times in my life, and this is before I found like kind of what segued me into finding some like the plant medicine route, which again has helped me immensely and saved me from like suicidal depression. The shaman told me this teaching, and he said there's basically two kinds of people, right? You have like sun people and you have moon people. And so sun people are these bright givers and they expend and give energy constantly, and then you have the moon people who just exist and take and take and take. So the sun like shines and the moon just takes. So you need to constantly, so when he explained that to me, whether or not you believe in like spiritual woo-woo concepts, that's like really cool way to look at people. So you have your givers and your takers, right? So who are you? You have to really learn who you're dealing with. So you like my knives?
Dude, but finish your thought.
Sorry. Oh, I mean, that's really it. So you kind of just like, again, what was the question? How does it?
What did you have to give up so that way you could keep being creative?
I had to give, the pattern, we're talking about the patterns that I had to break. So the pattern I have to recognize and break early on is, am I giving too much to this person who doesn't deserve to be giving to them? And so when I find that out, as soon as I find that out, this gnarly side of me clicks in where I'm like, get the fuck away from me. Like, it's like the teeth come out and it's like, like, because that's actually what you kind of have to do to get these people out of your life. You have to be like scary to them, because if you don't, they'll just keep taking.
So how does your like...
We'll put the kukri back. Unless you want to play with the kukri.
I want to play with the kukri.
When you grab a handle, my chief told me this. You hand a weapon to someone, you hear the handle side. It's a sign of respect.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Yeah. Appreciate that. I'm going to remember that.
Of course.
So when it comes to I lost your messages, by the way.
Okay, so hold up.
So when it comes to people getting access to you because you dealt with loyalty and betrayal and like trying to rebuild influence.
Yeah.
How do you choose who gets access to you in your creative world as an artist?
I've become really good at discerning values very quickly with people.
How so?
You just you have conversations with people and you find out what motivates them. And if their primary motivator in this life is like money, then you want to probably just run away as quickly as you can. But, you know,
a lot of trauma there.
Money or money and or like power over others, you want to kind of get away, but you can discern that through like lighthearted conversation. What I'm getting better at is when I discern it, I don't freak out on them. I just quietly disappear and exit, because that's the better way to do it. Silence is a great response to anybody that disrespects you, by the way, just for people out there. If anybody who's watched this far into the interview, silence is probably the best way to win an argument.
Noted. Do you feel like you have like a routine to like how you like to go about your life?
My routine is wake up, drink my coffee, smoke a cigarette, endure the horrors of the day, and still find time to make art.
So how does that clarity fuel your work as an artist? It's essentially where this question says.
Sorry, I just need a second, dude. That's funny.
I wake up, I make some coffee, I smoke a cigarette, and I go conquer the world.
The world butt fucks me. The question is whether or not is with lube that day. So we were just talking about this, you know. Insurance is basically the lube that you buy to get butt fucked.
So how has the process of rebuilding your life and the infrastructure of it affected your music?
It's made me a lot more conscious with my time and my energy and who I spend that around. So when I, you know, interact with other artists and creatives and go-getters and people, you know, I filter them out a lot quicker. I'm like, you know, we're just not aligned. Like I see what you're doing and you're not necessarily a bad person, but we're just not aligned. So I'm going to go spend my time with these people who want to do these things, not these people who sit around and talk about these things and don't ever make things happen. Like go spend time with the people that are actually making things happen and doing things, because you'll pick up the traits and they will inspire you and you will inspire them.
Do you feel like your younger self would be proud of you right now?
Hell yeah. My younger self, so when you're young, when you grow up, I saw this quote, it was so great. You become, through your experiences, you become the version of yourself that you needed when you were a kid. When you go through enough traumatic, hurtful experiences, you become the person that you needed, because when you were young, you were constantly reaching out to people and people were constantly letting you down, this and that. So you become strong enough to be the person that your younger self would have called for advice.
So then with that said, what part of your younger self do you feel like your art is protecting, honoring, and like giving a voice to?
The creative version of me that, again, refuses to die. It would be easier for me to work a 9-to-5 job. My life would probably be easier. I wouldn't deal with as much of this emotional stress and trauma. But again, I would rather die than doing that, than not make art or music in some form of my life.
So then you like zoom out of your whole life and you see the whole big picture. What do you think your artistry is ultimately preparing you for long term?
Self-sufficiency.
Self-sufficiency?
Yeah, self-sufficiency.
How would you describe that? Is it happiness? Is it fulfillment? Is it money? What is it?
I mean, actually, you probably hit it on the head right there. It's probably like peace, you know, like a peaceful life. Because I've lived a really rather chaotic life in my early days. And as I get older, I'm really just searching for like peace and harmony.